So after recently sharing with you all my top 10 shows of 2023, it is now time to look ahead because we're in the new year and there are some shows that I'm hyped for that I'm excited to check out. So with that being said, let's get into it. What's going on, TV fans, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be sharing with you all in today's video my top 10 most anticipated shows of 2024. That's right, we're in the new year. 2024, that is crazy, flying cars and all the stuff that we have. We're in the future, y'all, but speaking of the new year, I want to take this time to say Happy New Year to you all. Hope you had a safe new year. Very much appreciative of the awesome year that we had in 2023 on this channel, and very much excited to see what we got in line for 2024. With covering new movies, but also covering new shows, which speaking of, let's start that conversation in the comments below. Let me know what new show are you most excited to see, but also what shows that didn't make this list should I have on my radar. Let's have those discussions in the comments below. So unlike my top 10 movies, top 10 shows, most anticipated movies, TV shows are a little bit different when it comes to promotion, right? You don't normally see a TV show trailer like 6 months in advance like you would a movie, unless you're like a big show like Stranger Things. But most of the time for Netflix or Amazon or what have you, they show their new show trailer like the month of or the week of. So with that being said, I won't have any honorable mentions with this particular list, so we're going to jump right into my top 10. Speaking of top 10, this one shocks the hell out of me, but with that being said, coming to Disney Plus on July 9th, we're talking about Echo, which will follow Maya's ruthless behavior in New York City, catching up to her as she's at her hometown, as she must face her past, reconnect with her Native American roots, and embrace the meaning of family and community. Now, this comes as a complete shock for me because if you followed my coverage on Hawkeye, number one, I wasn't a fan of that show, but number two, I didn't like how they built the character of Echo, and then to give her a show, I'm like, you didn't do enough work to make me excited. But the power of a great trailer, man. That trailer for Echo, if you all haven't seen, which by the way, by the time this video is out, because I'm pre-recording this, the show will be coming out the following week, but that trailer was awesome because I have been saying it for years. Disney, we introduced the MCU in 2008. 15 years or now 16 years later, we've all grown up, so we can now, yes, we can still have family fun adventures with Ant-Man and all the kind of more family-oriented characters, but also we're adults here. We're the ones paying for kids to go see those movies, so it's time to mature the content, and this is very much based on the trailer. It looks like it is mature. They have said that this is the first MA show on Disney Plus. You're going to have to change the settings, right? But also the idea of this being like a spotlight series, which is a new category for Marvel shows and maybe even some movies that will focus more on individual stories and not so much on the greater MCU and the multiverse and intergalactic battles and whatnot, but street level superheroes, anti-heroes, and villains. So I'm hyped, man. I'm excited to get more of her story, learn more about her backstory, see her powers on full display, but also getting Kingpin and seeing how that's going to shake up after that weak-ass finale of Hawkeye. Also, we're getting Daredevil, and who's to say there might be one or two more. Again, this is a spotlight, but, you know, street level, we might get a Punisher, maybe a Jessica Jones, but not getting too crazy. I'm excited for more of her story, seeing what they're going to do with Daredevil, setting up his series, but also that tension she has with her kind of pseudo father and Kingpin. So again, I'm shocked that Echo made my list, but I'm really looking forward to checking it out. But let me know if you all are excited to see Echo as well. But moving on to my number 9, coming out on Disney Plus late in 2024, we talking about Agatha Darkhold Diaries, or Agatha All Along, or Agatha, whatever the name of the show might be, as we will be following Agatha as she finds herself powerless after breaking her containment in Westview, New Jersey, as she looks to some unlikely allies to join her in her quest to regain her former powers. So the thing about Agatha, number one, I was a fan of that character in WandaVision, and also I like that the writer that wrote that show will be one of the head writers of the show, and she's also directing some shows as well as far as this new season goes. But I'm excited for that. But also, if you know me, I'm a horror fan, and I love things that go bump in the night, and that could be werewolves, vampires, but also witches. So I like the more supernatural elements that are going to be more prominent in the MCU. Again, more mature content. And then this cast with Catherine Hahn coming back as Agatha. If you all don't know, I love Aubrey Plaza, and last time she was in a superhero show, it was one of my favorite superhero shows of all time, in Legion. So I'm so glad she's a part of this new cast, and also you have Patti LuPone. So the cast is great. The behind-the-scenes filmmakers and storytellers are great. And again, supernatural, witches, expanding the MCU, that corner of the MCU. You know, Mephisto may or may not be involved with that, but I'm very much excited to see this show coming out, which I think right now I said late 2024, but most likely that October season, which is perfect. Again, getting you in the mood for that Halloween spooky time. So I'm looking forward to Agatha. Let me know if you all are checking that out when it comes out later this fall. But moving on to my number 8, that is coming to Netflix on March 21st, and that is Three Body Problem. Now, this series portrays a fictional past, present, and future where Earth encounters an alien civilization. Now, this show is based on a sci-fi novel that came out in 2008. And one thing about me, I already kind of mentioned how I'm a big fan of horror, but my favorite genre is science fiction, and I'm always down for some new sci-fi shows. Now, I know very little about this premise in this book. I've heard nothing but great things about it. But the thing that gets me excited is going back to it being on Netflix, and one of my favorite science fiction shows of all time, premiered on Netflix 6-7 years ago by the name of Dark. Go watch that show. Greatest time travel show, science fiction show of all time. So that gets me excited. They pick good science fiction projects, but I'll be honest with you all, I am slightly nervous because the creators and the writers behind this show are the same creators of Game of Thrones, and we all know that last season, for some people, even the season before that, they were starting to drop the ball. And I can even admit, as a fan of Game of Thrones, they dropped the ball with the last season of Game of Thrones, with them focusing on Star Wars and just doing some craziness in that finale. But need I remind you, prior to them dropping the ball, that 4, 5, 6 season run of Game of Thrones is some of the greatest storytelling I've ever seen. So with all that being said, who doesn't love a good comeback story? Hopefully they are laser focused on telling one story. They're not looking ahead for other seasons or other projects. I'm looking forward to a nice original sci-fi, or I should say original, but based on an adaptation of an original kind of science fiction concept. I'm excited for it. March 21st, Three Body Problem. Fingers crossed that the creators of Game of Thrones can make something. I don't want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but hopefully the storytelling, the character developments, the world building can be as intriguing and compelling as what we saw what they did with Game of Thrones. So here's to wishing. Moving on to my next, and that is number 7, coming to Disney Plus late 2024. We're talking about Star Wars, The Acolyte. Now, this series is set at the end of the High Republic era in a world of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers. And it takes place approximately 100 years before Star Wars Episode 1, as a former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they have ever anticipated. Look, I am so hyped for this show because, yes, I have enjoyed the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Season 3 wasn't that great. Andor was fantastic. And the other stuff, Boba Fett, you know, there's some hits, there's some misses, but I'm so happy to be out of that era, right? The Tatooine, Luke Skywalker, you know, Ahsoka and all that stuff. I want to go either in the future, which we're going to get in that Rey movie, or way in the past, which we're going to get with this series. Now, I'm going to admit something to you all. There was a trailer that had leaked for this that showed at Comic-Con, and I may or may not have seen that trailer, even though it was kind of on someone's phone upside down. From what I heard and what I was able to piece together in that terrible footage, it looks badass because we're getting the Jedis and the Sith Lords at their prime. So lightsaber battles, Padawans, Jedi, Sith. Oh my goodness, I am so excited for this show because, again, I like to call myself a casual Star Wars fan because I've seen all the films and I've seen all the live action shows, but I haven't dove into like the animated stuff. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to this show. I'm hoping that it gets to those darker levels, the more sinister levels, and we see some high-level Star Wars fights in the sky, fights on the ground, lightsabers, Jedi, and Sith Lords. This sounds right up my alley, and I'm looking forward to it. So with that being said, let's move on to my number 6. Just coming back to Amazon Prime, early 2024, we're talking about Part 2 of Season 2 of Invincible. Now, of course, if you saw Season 2, Part 1, this will follow the actions after that finale, which I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say it was a very interesting family reunion. And Mark was given a kind of a, a heads up, like, if you don't do this, we're going to do that, and it's going to set up a lot of great things. So I was a big fan of season 1, loved it so much. I love what we got with the first part of season 2, and I am so excited to explore the ramifications and the circumstances that we saw at that finale and what it all set up for what we're going to get in this part 2. More battles, more of Mark being a leader, more of Omni-Man, and so on and so forth. So I am very much so excited to see what they have lined up for us for this second half of season 2 of the incredible show Invincible. Let me know if you are excited as well, which before we get into my top 5, I want to take the time to thank you all for making it to this point of this video. If you're having a good time like I am, make sure you're hitting that like button, sharing your top 10 list that you're excited to see of shows this year, but also sharing your thoughts in the comments below, and of course, consider subscribing to the channel. With that being said, let's get to number 5, which is coming to Max in the mid to late 2024 release schedule. We're talking about The Penguin. Now, this is taking place 1 week after the events of The Batman, which came out in 2022, and the series explores the rise of power of the Penguin in the Gotham City criminal underground. Look, I was a big fan of Matt Reeves' 2022 Batman, very much a fan of what they did, how they established that world. Batman's my favorite superhero, and he has my favorite rogues gallery, and I love the interpretation that we got with Colin Farrell playing the Penguin, and knowing that this is literally a handoff from that film to this show leading into the Batman Part 2. So love that we're getting that world building and seeing the criminal underworld of Gotham, which I'm gonna be a little bit biased here. Yes, I wasn't the biggest fan of like that Gotham show that had like Batman in it for 2 seconds, but this is gonna take place in the same world. So I'm not saying that I anticipate seeing Batman, but I'm sure we're going to see Robert Pattinson. If he's not going to be like as Bruce Wayne, or he's going to probably be like on the background of some shows, or maybe like making an appearance in the show, which even if he's not in the show, which I'm pretty sure he is, but just meaning all the other stuff. Again, Penguin, Catwoman, everything that went on with the power struggle with Falcone. So I love a good mob underground. Goodfellas is one of my favorite films of all time. So I'm very much excited to, again, mature content, and I know it's under the Max logo, but it's still HBO, and need I remind you the quality that we normally get for HBO. So I'm looking forward to a great show, and again, seeing how it's going to show the ramifications of the Batman, but also how it's going to set up the Batman Part 2. I'm very much excited for, but let's move on to my number 4, which is coming to Amazon Prime sometime in 2024. If I were a betting man, I would imagine the summer or the spring. We're talking about The Boys Season 4. Time to get diabolical as this new season will explore Victoria Newman, who is increasingly getting closer to the Oval Office, but under the tight control of Homelander, who is consolidating his power. Now, with more at stake than ever, the Boys and Butcher must find a way to collaborate and save the world before it's too late. Man, I love being in the world of The Boys. Like, no disrespect to Marvel and DC, but the Amazon number 1 has been giving us the best like superhero content for the last like 3 years with The Boys, with Invincible, now with Gen V. So I love the world that they're building. I really loved how we ended season 3, and Homelander, as I've said it once and I'll say it again, the best villain on TV ever since Game of Thrones and Cersei and Joffrey and them got off screen. There's some other great villains in other shows, don't get me wrong, but Homelander, another level, man. Anthony Starr is so great in a role, as is Carl Urban as Butcher, and I just love the cast, and I'm just so excited to see Homelander and I just love the social commentary on like the split division of government and politics and how they're going to play into all that. We're going to get, Black Noir. If you all saw some behind the scenes that I shared on my channel, we're going to get some new characters, but also I mentioned a little bit of Gen V, which made my top 10 shows of 2023. I'm anticipating seeing some more crossover, Marie and that whole crew, and how things shaked up with the finale of Gen V. So yeah, I'm ready to get diabolical with this new season of The Boys. I'm so excited to see it. But moving on to my next spot, which is in my top 3, and I'm going to put a little asterisk on this, but fingers crossed, coming to Apple TV Plus sometime in 2024. We're talking about Severance Season 2. Now, again, I'm putting an asterisk on this because they haven't officially announced it will be coming out this year, but we know that the first season dropped in 2022. They were working on season 2 in the back half of 2022 into the new year, but with the writer's strike, the actor strike, but also even prior to that, there were some behind the scenes issues. There were things that weren't clicking. I think they got a new showrunner or a new head writer. There was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, little asterisk there, that they've ironed everything out. We're removed from the writer's strike and actor strike, so we're back in the writing room. We have a new team, and I'm hoping that we're gonna get season 2 of my favorite show when that came out in 2021 or 2022, whatever it was. I love Severance. I can't wait to catch up with Mark and everything that we got with Burke and Dylan and Irving and Cobalt. Like, I love that show so much, and I'm just really hoping that we get season 2, because I am so excited to talk about it again with you all, because I had so much fun covering that show when it dropped. So again, let's put this into the air. Let's manifest this. Season 2 will be dropping in 2024, because that season 1 was so great, and I just know they have something great lined up for season 2. So here's to wishing. Moving into my top 2 categories, coming in at my number 2 is premiering on Max late 2024. We're talking about Dune Prophecy. Now, this is taking place approximately 10,000 years before the events of Frank Herbert's 1965 novel Dune, but also will serve as a prequel to the Denis Villeneuve's Dune, as it will explore and focus of the origins of the Bene Gesserit, aka the Sisterhood. Listen, y'all, I love Dune so much. Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director. I'm so excited for Dune Part 2. Again, you can watch my top 10 most anticipated movies and figure out where that movie's going to land. But I love this world. I love that we're going to go back and learn the origins of the super powered sisterhood and how the politics works into that and how they got their powers and things of that nature, and just all the stuff, the lore and the mythology. And again, more Dune, more Arrakis, more of the Harkons, more of, Atreides family and all the different houses. This is, to me, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, in space, politics, Max. I know the budget's going to be crazy. They already have their cast. I would anticipate a trailer probably when Comic-Con comes around later this summer. So I love Dune. I am so stoked for this world just continue to build out, because it is one of the richest stories in the science fiction genre. So I'm here for it, and that's why Dune Prophecy is my number 2. But it didn't get to the number 1. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be crowned to season 2 coming in the summer of 2024. We're talking about House of the Dragon. Man, I'm so excited for this Targaryen civil war against Aegon II, Rhaenyra, who is her half-brother, along with Rhaenyra and Daemon, the House of Valerian, who possesses the largest navy in the Westeros. More dragons. Team Black versus Team Green, which y'all know I'm Team Black all day. Man, I had so much fun covering House of the Dragon Season 1 with our live streams and our breakdown. I love the world of Game of Thrones, and this show, to me, Season 1 did almost the impossible, because it was such a uphill battle to kind of get people back from again, we talked about the creators of Game of Thrones earlier in this breakdown, but that disappointing finale, and then to have everyone getting on the same page. Book readers are saying this is accurate to the book, and they love the depiction and an adaptation. And someone that hasn't read the book but is very familiar with the Game of Thrones show, just picking up the pieces, loving these characters, caring for these characters, the tragedies, the deception, the lies, the secrets, the politics, the world building, all the stuff I love about Game of Thrones is in this show. And apparently, I think they said they're going to get 4 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm here for. But we're talking about season 2, Team Black. Let's go. I'm so excited for this new season coming out later this summer. Ooh, expect a lot of coverage for that. I am so hyped for the new season. But hey, those are my 10 most anticipated shows of this new year. Fingers crossed that maybe some of these shows, if not all of them, might make my list at the end of this year as far as favorite shows. But here's to wishing. But I'm very much excited for this new year for movies and shows. And thank you so much for watching this video. Again, share your list. Which shows did I miss? Which shows should I have on my radars? Which shows are you excited for me to cover? Whether it's live stream discussions, which I will be bringing back for this new year, breakdowns, so on and so forth. Let's have those conversations in the comments below. Again, Happy New Year to you all. If you haven't already, check out my top 10 movies, top 10 shows, most anticipated movies of this new year. And I have a bunch of other shorts for best horror films of the previous year, comic book movies, and just a lot of stuff. So again, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, check out my other lists that I've done so far, check out my most recent video, and I'll catch you all on the next video.